Hey, welcome to episode 10 of Slack Smack. My name is Sean Slack. This is the man, Victor Mega Hugo. What's up?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Good.
We are grateful and excited to have you with us tonight. Again, special thanks go to my entire team here in Brazil with Fabula and with Digital Motion AV in Birmingham, Alabama. We made it to number 10. Looking forward to number 10,000 in the future. It's going to be awesome. Hey, before we get started, just to let you know, we're going to do a little bit of an intro here talking about the NCAA College Football Playoff. And before we get into it, I got a quick video for you to watch. Let's take a look.
Live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And the 2018 calendar year begins with the UCF Knights back in a major college football bowl game. At 12-0 and ranked 12th in the country, take on the 7th-ranked Auburn Tigers with a record of 10-3. And the 2018 Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is underway. Hughes goes back. Hughes will take it and watch the ball sail to the end zone. Knights will start from the 25-yard line. Now snap back at the 25 after UCF had 3 incomplete passes on their opening drive. Here's the snap. Here's Loudermilk's punt. About the same spot. Bounces, takes a good UCF roll inside the 25. It'll be down to the 22-yard line. Big difference there. 48-yard punt. See if they snap it quick. Stidham back to throw. Screen pass. Going to be caught. And right there. And a tackle. Novell Clark comes up. And he just drops Ryan Davis. Place down. Kick on the way. It's up and the kick is good. Auburn gets 3 on the drive after UCF turned it over near midfield. He looks downfield. He looks downfield with plenty of time. He throws. His pass is caught. First down at the 40-yard line of UCF. Down to the 37-yard line. Stidham under center. And a play fake. Rolls out to his right. Pressure comes, and he's hit sack. There's Christian Hill back at the 41-yard line. They place it down. Here's his kicks on the way. It's got the distance, and the kick is short. It is not with the distance. It falls about 2 yards short. McKenzie drops, rolls out to his right, throws out, pass is going to be caught. That's Snelson, first down, Auburn, 38-yard line. He's going to have forward progress to the 36-yard line. Here's the snap down, kick on the way. It's up, and the kick is good. Matthew Wright hits from 33 yards out. 11-11 to play in the second quarter. He'll hand the football off. No, he's going to keep it. Stidham's going to lose the football. Picked up UCF at the 38-yard line. Outside of the 45 to the 50 to the sideline. Trey Deal, 35, 30. Looking for blockers. He's inside the 30-yard line. All the way down to the Auburn. Where do they mark it? At the Auburn 20-yard line. Here's the snap. McKenzie drops. He looks. Here comes pressure. He's going to be hit. He'll break it. He'll get to the 20, 15, 10, to the 5. McKenzie! Touchdown! They'll run from 18 yards out, and the Knights take a 9-3 lead. Stidham dropping. Pressure comes. He steps up. He's sacked at the 30-yard line. Pick your Knight that you want to give credit to. Snap. Kick on its way. It is up and it's good. They're throwing. He's going to run 35, 40, 44, pushed out of bounds. Here's the snap. They place it down. The kick's on the way. The kick is up. The kick is good. Matthew Wright hits it from 45 yards out at the end of the first half. Stidham dropping, looking, stepping up, rolling out left, throws down. Man is open. Caught. Touchdown Auburn. First and goal. Auburn again wants to go quickly. And off to Kerryon Johnson. Will go to the end zone. Touchdown, Auburn. And the Tigers quickly back-to-back touchdown drives. So the Knights have themselves wobbling a bit, trying to tie the ball game up. Play fake. McKenzie back. Throws underneath. Pass caught. Anderson, 10, 5, to the 2, to the 1-yard line. The surge to the end zone. Touchdown! Otis Anderson from 12 yards out on a PAT from tying it up. Traquan Smith in motion. McKenzie rolls out. McKenzie dances. McKenzie's going to look and throw to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown! Frederick Snelson. 9 yards and a lead for UCF. Stidham play fake. Looks, throws, pass, intercepted. Burkett 40, 35, 30 to the house. He's gone. Touchdown. Shaquan Burkett. Pick 6. Boom! Stidham under center. He'll play fake, now give it back. The left side, they'll go into the end zone. They'll walk in for a touchdown. Will Eli Stoll. 4:12 to go, and Auburn makes it a 34-26 game. On 3rd down and 10. Snap. back, looking with time, looking, going to run. He's going to be hit. He's going to be dropped with a 23-yard line. Fourth down coming up. The clock will move. 4 wide receivers set. 3 right, 1 left. Clock starts, 30 seconds. Stidham back to throw. Pressure, throws it up towards the end zone. Pass is going to be intercepted! Intercepted! Antoine Collier picks it off! Antoine Collier, the true freshman, with pressure. Stidham threw it up. He picks it off. And with 24 seconds to go, he does. A knee goes down. And the final frost will end in perfection. The UCF Knights will do something no one else in college football can claim. Play them all. Win them all. Unbeaten. 13-0.
Fernanda, we'll talk soon. All right, so we're back. Yeah, that was my boys, UCF, taking care of Auburn. You know, the reason that we're playing this, Mega, is because, as you know, I used to play for the University of Central Florida. In fact, I already had a few of my former coaches on. We've had a few former teammates on episodes of this show. And, you know, a few years ago, and that's in 2017, when we just saw in the video there, UCF upset the college football world by going undefeated. Then they beat the team that beat the number 1 team. So they were the only undefeated team left. In fact, 2 of the polls at the end had UCF ranked number 1. And what they do, so they claimed the national title. I completely agree with that because, you know, there was no other way for them. They beat everybody on their schedule.
Yeah.
They beat the team that beat number 1. So, hey, they're the national champs. So let's kind of get into this a little bit. So here's some stats that you might not know talking about UCF, and then we'll get into why we're having this argument about the college football playoff. First of all, UCF is only one of six teams in all of college football to play in 3 of the last 4 New Year's Day 6 bowl games. Now, those are the premier bowl games aside from, what's going on with the college football playoff and such. Secondly, during that time span, they beat 5th-ranked Baylor. They had Blake Bortles as quarterback. They beat Auburn. They barely lost to LSU with Joe Burrow. Everybody that saw that game knew that, look, the starting quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, got his knee completely wrecked at the end of the season against USF. So 3 weeks later, they have to put the backup in against LSU. Now, you know, people are saying LSU was undermanned, blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line is, you know, it was a game they really should have won, but they ended up losing. And then that was the end of going undefeated. So they basically went 23-0 over 2 years. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it's an amazing run. Amazing run. They're ranked 2nd in all of college football right now for the longest home winning streak. Clemson is number 1, and UCF is number 2, and that's for winning games at home. In 2017 and 2018, they went completely undefeated. 2017 alone, with the video they just showed, they beat 3 top 25 ranked teams. And then went on to beat Auburn, like they talked about, who had just beat Alabama, which was the number 1 team at that time. And for those who don't know, all the haters out there, UCF is actually 1-0 against Alabama, beating Alabama in their home in 2000 with the last-second field goal in front of 83,000 fans. So take that in your pipe and smoke it. So now let's get back to the playoff. And I think it's a farce, okay? Because unless your team is in one of the Power 5 conferences, the SEC, the Pac-12, the Big 12, so on and so forth, the chances of you going to the playoffs, zip. 0% chance. It's not going to happen. And the reason why is MONEY, money, dinero, reais, dollars. You know, big money. That's what it's about. ABC, which owns ESPN, is not going to allow a smaller school to be in the current system because of the perceived audience participation, sponsorships, and so on and so forth, which is ludicrous to begin with because the enrollment at UCF, I bet you didn't know this as well, They are the second largest school in the country. Okay? In that country, they have the second largest, the most enrollment. So, secondly, every single year, it's the same freaking teams. Look at the top 4 or 5 in the preseason this year. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Clemson, Alabama, LSU. No one else gets a sniff. Why? Because you got to take a look at the recruiting budgets and the coaching staff budgets of these teams. Alabama, for one, okay, they spend over $150 million a year just in recruiting. Yeah. Imagine. I mean, hell, can we just have one of those down here in Brazil? I mean, we could do $1 million. That's quantos in reais. Mais ou menos, that's what? 5 million reais, give or take? Yeah. I mean, we'll take it. Anyway, so compare that to UCF. Okay, their annual recruiting budget is about $35 million. Okay, you doing the math here? So that's why they don't want these smaller schools that go up and kick their ass, because they're like, man, we're spending all this money, blah, blah, blah. We have Nick Saban's $8 billion a year contract, da, 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 da. Okay, that's ridiculous. Okay, the ratings are never going to die down. It's not because of the teams. It's not because of anything else except for our hunger of the game. Americans are freaking crazy for football. It's like Brazilians here for soccer. There's just no comparison. It's an $8 or $9 billion industry in the United States. Okay, yeah. So the ratings at the end of the year, okay, are super high because it's the end of the year. The end of December is when the playoffs begin. Okay, going into January, what else is going on? The NFL playoffs at the same time. So it doesn't matter if it's a school for the deaf and blind. Everybody's going to watch who's on the damn game. So don't give me this crap that they're not going to watch UCF. They're not going to watch Boise State. They're not going to watch Utah. All these smaller schools. That's a bunch of crap. So here's my idea, and I talked about this on the other show. And let me ask you what you think. I think you take the 6 conference winners, the Power 5, plus the American, which the UCF is in. Okay, you take all those winners. Then you have 2 more at-large bids. In other words, whoever's the top 2 ranked teams in the country besides those teams, and then there's your 8-team playoff. And you have a 3-week playoff. You get rid of the bullshit games that they play during the regular season, like Alabama always plays like Austin P or some 1AA piece of crap school as a tune-up game. Take those out, shorten the season by 1 game, okay, and let everybody settle it on the field. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. I think just let the football speak on the field.
Yeah.
Just that. Just this. This. You're right. I'm agree.
Look at the NCAA basketball tournament, okay? They take 66 teams. It's 64 teams, plus they have 2 play-in games when they allow 2 teams that are outside of the little inside the tournament brackets to play their way in. So you got all the conference winners get an automatic bid. Then you got the rankings and everything that plays into it. But you're taking away from these kids, man. I mean, you got to give everybody an opportunity to play, because I'm telling you right now, in 2017 and 18, UCF would have definitely held their own against anyone, especially the 2017 team, the one with Shaquille Griffin, Mackenzie Milton. The list goes on and on. And if you don't think that they can hang, then why do they already have right now between 8 and 12 players on NFL rosters? A lot of them got drafted this year. A lot of them got drafted the year before as well. So if they weren't that good, then what the hell are they doing on NFL rosters? So don't give me that BS about, it's a small school. Alabama would have killed them. Ohio State would have killed them. No, it doesn't work like that. You guys are just thinking about names and you're thinking about past history or whatever. Okay. Yes, I played at UCF. Yes, my brother played at UCF. We're biased about this, but I think it's a major problem and it needs to be fixed. So I hope in the future, the NCAA finally gets it right. There's been a lot of calls for it, especially with what happened with them to get things going. Now, this year, things are going to get thrown to a mess. They're talking about right now, because of the COVID deal, that most teams are just going to play within their own conference, which is going to kill the entire playoff system again. Because what's going to happen? You got all SEC just playing SEC. Big 12 is going to play just Big 12. Pac-12, the American, da-da-da. There's no way in hell any team that's not in those top 5 conferences are going to get a chance. Look at Notre Dame. Who the hell are they going to play? Yeah. Notre Dame is an independent. They don't even have a conference. So I hope they don't make the stupid decision to do that, and don't even get me started on COVID. I know a lot of people have passed away and had family members pass away and stuff, so I'm not going to get into that political wise. I'm just saying it is what it is. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right. So, all right, so let's get into our first guest. Now, our first guest here is from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I miss it. It's my second home. I love it there. I lived there for a little while, different spots. It's an amazing place, full of beaches, carnival, the Christ statue, Flamengo soccer, of course. Congratulations, Gabriel. You're the man. And, of course, American football. Now, this woman that we're about to introduce, she has been instrumental in the development of the game for flag, men's and women's full pad as well. She recently was the founder of the Bangu Caçador, and I don't think I said it right. So
yeah, it's right. Bangu Caçadores.
Viu? Okay, eu falo bem, boy. It's a team here in Brazil, and she was actually just recently picked for the WFLA. That's the Women's American Football League Association Phoenix Red Tails, which are slated to play in 2021. Let's take a quick look at Fernanda's video.
I'm not listening. Yeah, put in the
All right. We finally got you on here, Fernanda. Boa noite, tudo bem? Como vai?
Boa noite, hello. I'm good. Tudo bem? Tô bem, e você?
Muito legal. E Victor também, pode falar,
né? Bom, Fernanda, tudo jóia? A gente tá, falei pro a gente tá mesclando, te contar um pouco a sua história em português, um pouco a sua história em inglês, porque você vai ter muito tempo lá nos Estados Unidos também, vai falar muito em inglês, e é bom que as jogadoras brasileiras também vão saber um pouquinho da sua história em português, então a gente vai mesclando.
Sim.
Vamos falou, sem problema. Depois cerveja eu falo tudo, né? Hey, all right, so first of all, you live in Rio, okay? That's a home of amazing soccer, my Flamengo team. They're one of the best teams in the world. Home of Maracanã Stadium. It's one of the most famous stadiums in the world. The home of supermodels and musicians and beautiful beaches. Why American football? ¿Por qué?
Yeah, well, actually, I've always liked all kinds of sports, but I was never, I liked soccer, but not to play,
Sure.
And in school, actually, I've preferred to play handball, that's the sport I started. And then I started playing like in the school team, that stuff, and then college team. And when I was in college, I found out some people that was playing rugby actually. And
Nice.
then I said, "Oh, that's nice. I like this, kind of sports that are more more, let's say, not so easy."
Yeah, aggressive, violent.
More violent, yeah, aggressive.
Watch
So
out,
I
she's
saw
violent.
I saw rugby, then I liked it. But here in Rio, at least, the only team was Niterói Rugby. So it was kind of far for me because I was still living in Rio and didn't have a car at the time. So it was kind of, I'm gonna look here around if there is something like, And then I started looking. At that time was Orkut, the social
Right.
media. And then I found a team that was starting here in Barra da Tijuca of American football. It was, I don't know if Vitor remember, it was Falcões and Mamutes, the two teams that were used to play
Mamute.
here in Barra da Tijuca.
Mm-hmm.
They were one of the first teams, American football in Brazil. And then they were starting to have girls team. Mamutes was like Mamutes girls, and Falcões, the name was Arpias. So I started to play with Arpias, but it took like, I don't know, 2 months, 5 months. And then these two teams got together because we had just a few girls. So we got together to make one team. And then we had Barra playing.
Wow.
Well, my first championship was still with Mamutes. We used the Mamute shirts. Like long time ago. I don't even remember if it was 2004 or 2005. I think it was 2005. But that's how I found football. The first practice I was just like, oh, it's the same thing, rugby, football, they're all the same. And then you get like, no, it's not. So
Maybe it's not all the rules, and it's like, oh, okay.
Everything's different, and just tackling is the same. But I started like this.
Wow.
Awesome. Fernanda, a gente vai mesclando aqui, tá? Você mora no Rio, pô, é uma cidade maravilhosa, como o coach falou. Fala um pouquinho da sua infância, como que foi a sua infância, como que foi crescer no Rio de Janeiro?
Antes eu até ia comentar isso, né? Eu vou ficar meio louca. Às vezes você vai perguntar em português, eu vou responder em inglês, tá bom? Eu já tô assim, na verdade, por causa desse negócio de Phoenix. A gente tem reunião todo sábado, não sei o quê, então, tipo, fico falando com as pessoas. Então, meu teclado já tá doido, ele não sabe quando eu falo português e inglês mais.
Eu sei.
Então, da infância, tipo, eu, na verdade, nasci na Tijuca, que é um bairro bem, né, um dos principais bairros aqui da Zona Norte do Rio. Um bairro bem conhecido, até apesar de não ser na Zona Sul, né, praia e tal. E depois eu fui morar no Meia, que também é outro bairro bem movimentado. Então, tipo, foi uma infância movimentada, vamos dizer. Eu brincava bastante, tipo, brincava em rua. Eu geralmente morava em prédio, mas era prédio com play, então, tipo, descia muito pro play, né, pra brincar. E eu sempre fui agitada. Eu gostava de correr, pular, subir em árvore, jogar vôlei, andar de bicicleta, jogava taco, jogava tudo. Aquela que saía correndo, ralava tampa, saía a tampa do dedo e continuava correndo.
Sim.
Jogava e continuava correndo. Era bem assim, chegava em casa toda ralada. Então, assim, foi. E, além disso, meu avô mora em Campos, no interior do Rio de Janeiro, 6 horas do Rio. E lá era tudo estrada de terra, barro, mal tinha, sei lá, luz, acho que tinha acabado de chegar. Então, tipo, lá também a gente vivia na rua, brincando no barro.
Sim.
Então foi daquela, tipo, infância raiz. Não foi Nutella.
Ótimo.
Now, you've been instrumental in the game in many phases. Now, flag for men and women, as well as full pads for men and women. As such, what is your assessment so far in the growth of the game as a whole here in Brazil?
Yeah, so as you said, like as I was saying, I started as a normal player, let's say, and then when I started to understand better things, about sports, then I started to want to help it grow. So
Right.
I think one of the first things that I've done was like helping FIFARG, that is the local. Actually, at that time was to a FAB, helping it. I was not, officially from the management, but I was always helping. Helping the female championship, helping something to happen.
Sure.
And then I started to go, officially to this institution.
Hmm.
Also with the team, of course. Uh, Before we go to FIFARG and CBFA, we start to lead the team, right? And go to these meetings and everything, representing the team. So at
Hmm.
that time was Baja Flames. It was me and some other girls that were with me at that time. And then Botafogo Flames. And then when I went to the other team, I was always in the management of the team.
Hmm.
Um, so like the sorry, are you asking about how is the score now?
No, no, and then what I was asking, and we can ask a question based on what you were just saying as well, because I'm
Uh-huh.
curious. When you were doing these meetings at the beginning, what was that like? Because basically, there was hardly any teams at all. You guys were at the grassroots of doing this, and here you are going, "Hey, we want to play this sport." Now, I can't imagine that anybody from the city or the government or anybody was even willing to listen to you at the time. So what was that like? What did you guys talk about? Did you ever get frustrated? What was that experience like, compared to where you at now?
Yeah, I don't think we can say we get frustrated because I think we've never expected much,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So, but right in the beginning, of course, I think we didn't even try to get something from government or that stuff. We were just trying to make something happen, actually.
sure. Sure.
We used to have like, I think the first championship we had like 4 teams or something, and then we stayed with 4, and then the other year, one more appeared, and then we had 5, and then there was a year that several people fought in their teams, and then we had like 7 teams, and then they all ended up, and we became 4 again. So things were like that a little bit.
Sure.
But every year we had to sit and talk about. Every team had a representative, so we would talk about what we're gonna do, how the championship's going to be, points like. All those meetings generally happen at Botafogo Praia Shopping, which
Oh
is
yeah.
a known place here in Rio.
Oh,
It
I
is
hate
our
that ball, man. That's the one you have to go escalator, escalator,
yeah.
escalator. Oh my
We
god, I
call
know.
it Botafogo Stair Shopping.
Yeah, exactly.
It has like 7 floors for the ones who doesn't know. And
Yeah,
then the meetings were always in the last floor because it's in the place
the
where they
food
have the
court.
restaurant there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
So the meetings used to be there, it was everything very amateur, right?
Sure.
And but I think all the things we used to the most important thing I think we used to think at that time is how to make this happen and how to make this grow.
Mm-hmm.
And of course we were always after like TV, newspaper, things like this, media.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the thing that we used to think most at that time because we wanted football to be more known
Sure.
so that we could finally go to other steps like going to the government and that stuff. But
Sure.
actually sometimes, one time or another, they used to happen something like, someone is friend of a secretary and then maybe they can have something for you. So we've heard some promises along this time, but nothing much concrete.
Yeah.
I think the most concrete things that we got was like stadium, like Caio Martins. We got to make some games there, and then when I was doing the first women's championship that we tried to make it a full tackle championship. It was 2010, and it was in America, Mesquita,
Sure.
America Stadium.
Yeah.
It was very good stadium.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
But we couldn't make to full patch. We just made it in 2011.
Wow.
So I think these were the most important things that we got from government or things like.
So when you were playing, and just one more question about this, and then we're gonna get on with this. But let me ask you: when you had these tournaments and you had these teams, and obviously you were playing as well, did you ever stop in the middle of a game? And you're sitting on the field, and you're like, "Damn, I can't believe I'm sitting here and I'm playing football in Brazil. I'm on the field. We have a tournament that I really helped create." I mean, that must have been amazing for you.
Yes, but not at the time it was happening, I think that actually when we're doing it, we don't realize the importance of that thing.
Yeah.
So actually when we were doing, we were like, we want to have a championship, so I'm going to make it happen because I want to play,
Right.
And then I think, I think only after it happens that we look to the pictures and say, man, I've done this.
Yeah. I mean, because it's an
For example,
amazing accomplishment. It's amazing.
Yeah. For example, this America Stadium that I said, it was a hard time for me to get it. I was actually after a field. I was just looking for a field, no, not even needed to have like the benches. I was just looking for a good field for us to play.
Sure.
And I couldn't find, because here in Brazil, here in Rio mainly, most of the stadiums, they charge for having a game. So we didn't have any money. And then for like by a chance, I was working on an event because I work with events too. And I was working, and then I was talking to people. Everywhere I go, I would like talk to people. So I'm going to do a championship. I need a field to play. Do you know any field that we could use? Anyone that I knew that could have contact, I was asking. And then suddenly a guy said, maybe I can help you. I'll try to get American Stadium for you. And that how things happen.
Yeah, and it's
amazing.
And
after that, I was like, man, we were playing in the best grass I've seen ever.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
And that's one of the reasons why they don't even allow us to play, because I remember when I was first coaching with Mocha, and we've had to play Santos, okay? So we're playing on the practice field where Santos Football Club practices. And this is a freaking turf field, right? So they didn't even paint the field. So it's still painted like a soccer field because they had a game the next day. So they're like, just don't mess it up. And I'm like, it's turf. I mean, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? So the resistance is there, man. But hey, that's really cool. That's really cool.
And now you've said that, until nowadays, we have a little difficult time to get a stadium, even though we want to pay to have a game. But at that time, it was even harder. No one would let football win because they used to say, "Oh no, football destroys the grass."
Destroy the grass.
And then my thing was like, no, but we girls, we are like,
we're lighter.
We won't, we won't do anything.
True though.
But that was the thing everybody used to say, Nowadays, we here in Rio, for example, we already have Olaria and Portuguesa. There were common fields for football for a long time. But at that time, no one.
Fernanda, vamos lá, migrando de novo. Recentemente você fundou um time de futebol americano, né? Então conta pra gente como é que foi essa trajetória.
Na verdade, assim, eu ajudei, né, vamos dizer, a fundar vários times, né? É porque sempre nos times que eu estava, na verdade, tinha várias pessoas envolvidas. Eu costumo dizer que eu gosto de, eu falo até no lance de Phoenix, que eu levei o bando, né? Eu gosto de andar em bando. Na época do Mamutes com o Arpias, por exemplo, eram 2 times, os 2 times resolveram se unir, né? Não foi exatamente uma fundação, vamos dizer, mas a gente se uniu e fez o Barra Flames. Então foi o primeiro. Do Barra Flames para o Botafogo Flames, também não fui eu que liderei a transição, né, para o clube de futebol, mas aí logo depois eu fiquei também como diretora dentro do Botafogo. Mas assim, a gente foi também como grupo, na verdade foi só uma transição, né, pro Botafogo. Do Botafogo, a gente juntou com o que era Vasco na época para fazer o Cariocas. Então o Cariocas também foi fundado, eu participei da fundação também, só que junto com outras pessoas.
Legal.
E aí agora, esse ano, finalmente, o Cariocas acabou, infelizmente. Então eu, junto com o Rogério Pimentel, que era da CBFA também, a gente conseguiu fazer essa parceria com o Bangu e aí fundou o Bangu, assim. Aí sim foi tipo, um pouco mais individual, mas também levei meu bando.
Legal. Só emendando uma pergunta, eu fiquei um pouco curioso. Obviamente, você, quando junta 2 times, você percebe que tem uma melhora técnica da jogadora, né? Você melhora o nível, você traz outros jogadores de outros times e você melhora o nível, até a competitividade entre elas. Você acha que isso acaba sendo um certo obstáculo, talvez, de melhorar um pouco o nosso nível, de alguns times não quererem? A gente fala até do futebol americano masculino, do feminino, de alguns times falam assim, não, a gente tem nossas cores, a nossa nação, a gente vai defender nossas cores até o final, e acaba limitando um pouco e não difundindo da maneira que poderia ser?
Cara, assim, eu vou te falar até que eu mesmo falo, eu sou um pouco clubista, né? Eu tenho, assim, tipo, eu fico, tipo, eu sou o Bangu hoje, se eu tivesse que ir para outro time, não sei se eu iria, entendeu? Eu tenho essa coisa de ter o time no coração. Desde sempre, você vê que eu venho sempre com a mesma galera, por mais que a gente mude de nome e se junte, né?
Sim.
E o que aconteceu, na verdade, desde o início, né, com o feminino, é que, na verdade, a gente se juntava porque a gente não tinha gente. Sim. Então, às vezes, não era nem questão de, tipo, melhora técnica, vamos dizer, o Vasco, quando juntou com o Botafogo, é que eles deram um up nos 2 times, né? Mas os 2 times tinham gente, vamos dizer, para jogar. No nosso caso, a gente não tinha. A gente sempre, e todo ano a gente faz recrutamento, não sei o quê, mas se no masculino já é difícil recrutar gente, no feminino é mais ainda, né?
Eu imagino.
Então, a gente sempre teve essa dificuldade. Quando chegou na grama, principalmente, né, que foi a migração da areia para a grama, que foi em 2014, não tinha como a gente jogar grama com a quantidade de atletas que a gente tinha, porque a gente não tinha nem 20. Entendeu? Tipo, ou Botafogo e o Vasco. E, para falar a verdade, a gente se odiava na areia. Eram os 2 melhores times, né, teoricamente, porque era sempre campeão e o outro sempre vice. E a gente tinha aquela rivalidade muito forte. Tinha muito trash talk na praia. Tinha uma galera que não conseguia ver a outra na frente.
Eu quero ver.
Mas a gente tinha uma coisa...
Não, desculpa, eu só quero ouvir trash talk em português. Nossa, engraçado demais. Porque, sabe, do slang. E nos Estados Unidos, do
hoje
slang.
Em dia... Hoje em dia tem muito menos. Na areia era fogo, era o tempo todo. Até porque na areia a sideline fica quase dentro do campo, né? Tu passa ali, tá todo mundo gritando no seu ouvido.
Nossa. But is it the same like in the United States? You know, quando fala trash talk nos Estados Unidos, nossa, às vezes fala muito personal. Hey, toma the cool, you know, whatever you want to, you know, but then it gets worse. It's like, hey, eu consumo mais, eu sabe sua irmã, blah, blah, blah. É verdade. And like, I used to do research. Eu pesquisava em outro jogador. So ele sabe, ele tem uma irmã. Eu falo, olha, ela é feia demais. Ela vai à sua casa e... Não, eu não pode falar, mas você sabe, né? Porque isso vai da cabeça deles. So, eu acho isso muito engraçado, porque eu ouvi meus jogadores também. Eu quero, vamos lá, falo demais, mas back it up. You know, if you're gonna talk shit, Back it up. So, anyway, sorry.
Aqui eu acho que a galera não chegava a estudar, mas tinha trash talk pesado. De falar de... Tanto de tipo, sei lá, você não vai pegar bola, então fulano, tu é ruim, quanto xingar. Tinha uma colega que quando dava a teco, caía em cima da menina e falava, ai, que linda que você tá, ai, se der mole eu te pego, entendeu? Então tem dá mole, xinga, fala mal, tem de tudo.
Mas você sabia, você falou, coach, na BFA, eu não vou citar nomes aqui agora, mas a gente foi jogar no Sul, contra alguns times do Sul, isso há 2, 3 anos atrás, e tinha uns jogadores do Sul que ele era conhecido por fazer esse tipo de trash talk. Tipo assim, cara,
Sim.
ele entra na rede social, ele pesquisa o nome da sua mãe, do seu pai, do seu cachorro, qualquer coisa e usa contra você.
Ótimo, velho. Não, isso é muito legal, porque, olha, durante o jogo, vocês brigam. Depois, vocês amigos, tomam cerveja sem problema, mas durante... Nossa, não fala comigo, viu? Não, vamos lá. Porque, olha, ele joga defensive line e offensive line também. So, durante o jogo, nossa, eu quero mate você. Depois, vamos, tem cerveja, como sua família, tudo bem, não tem problema. Durante o jogo, nossa, eu não posso falar.
Igual a Fernanda falou, mais ou menos.
Depende, tudo depende.
Depois do jogo deu uma pancadaria porque o brasileiro não tem essa mentalidade ainda, não dá.
Não, em alguns, acho que alguns times têm essa relação, né? De dentro do jogo é rivalidade, fora não, mas tem outros que não dá, não dá.
Well, this
10 metros de distância.
This is a great segue into my next question, because I want to ask you about this. Now, you were recently picked as well as some other Brazilians to play in the WFLA, the Women's Professional American Football League Association. Congratulations for that, by the way. You know, what was that moment like for you? And the reason I'm asking this now is I'm excited now to watch her talk shit in Portuguese in the WFLA, man. Vamos lá. No, I'm just... We'll get to
but you know, I was never one of the trash talkers. I generally play in silence. I just shout with my friends.
Okay, that's fine too.
Like,
but what was, in seriousness, what was that moment like for you? Because you've told us your story. Your story is amazing. You've done a lot for the game here. You're one of the pioneers, and then now you've got a professional team in the United States saying, "Hey, we want you." What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was amazing. Let's say I don't know if I have another word for that. It's of course something that we've always expected, to have a league that we could play to win a salary, to get money for playing.
In dollars.
I think that's something, in dollars is even better.
5 to 1. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's something that we, all Brazilians, men and women always dreamed about.
Sure.
So it's like, it's actually a dream coming true. Totally. Yeah. And also it has all this side that it's like our work, has been recognized. I don't know how many years I'm going to play still, but
sure.
To have the chance to be one of the persons that is going there to be the pioneer again with this pro league, that's awesome. Because sometimes we generally say here, we're doing things now for the future generations to, get used of this.
Oh yeah.
So, we wanted this to happen, but we didn't know if we were still playing when this happened, so.
Sure. Yeah. Playing in the United States is going to be much different. Obviously, financially, the fields, the equipment, the coaching. I mean, come on. There's no comparison. I mean, and again, that's not a knock on Brazil. That's just saying, look, the game is still young here. It's basically 15 years old. We've been doing it for 100. So it's a big difference. But, everything is going to be at a really high level. What are you most looking forward to when you arrive in Phoenix? I mean, what part of the game excites you the most, besides the money, besides, that kind of thing? What are you most looking forward to when you get there?
Well, I think what I'm most looking for, and I think it's the idea of all the girls to learn more, of course.
Sure.
We've always had this idea that in the United States, the level would be higher,
Mm-hmm.
But since like 2015, I can say maybe before that, we've been trying, my team, we've been trying to make this something with an American team happen. We've always looked for it. In 2016, we would have a game here against one of the teams there, which is, I don't remember now, but a team from WNFC, I think, we would play against. It was supposed to happen here in March, but it had to be canceled. Boston Renegade? No, it was not. Boston is the one that has made the movie. But we would have this game here, but it had to be canceled because of that Zika stuff. You remember?
Yeah.
That Brazil was like, before the Olympics, it was the Zika pandemic.
It's the other hope.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
So, yeah. So we had to cancel it. They wouldn't come here with all these problems. But we've always looked, for this exchange. We've always looked to learn more about football. We've always wanted to have people from the States coming here. We had here that American football without barriers that came here in 2000 something, 11 maybe. And then I had some girls there. We were still in Botafogo. Then we had last year Pro Football, which was with Dominic Hickson.
Oh, yeah.
And some friends. They came here. I helped them organize the camp. So I've always been after that, and to grow, to make our level higher.
Sure.
And although Cariocas, for example, there was the team I was playing at that time, is like the best team in Brazil. We were 3 times champion. We wanted to go higher. So now I think going, as the States couldn't come here, now we're all going to the States. And then I think that's the way we could find, to make our level grow.
Yeah.
To achieve what we wanted.
So cool. Ô, Fernanda, emendando nessa pergunta do coach sobre o futebol americano, o jeito que é diferente lá, eu queria te perguntar algo que eu fiquei um pouco curioso. Assim, você tá fazendo algum tipo de preparação, no caso até de psicologicamente? A gente sabe, o coach sabe muito bem isso, que lá é o berço do futebol americano, né? A gente é um bebê ainda comparado aos Estados Unidos. E para você, como atleta, como Fernanda, como que é a sua mentalidade? Tipo, cara, eu fui selecionada e eu preciso provar que eu sou uma jogadora brasileira, que eu tenho um talento, ou na sua cabeça tá tipo, eles me contrataram porque eles sabem do meu potencial, então eu só vou lá me divertir, ser paga e jogar o que eu quero. Como que tá isso na sua cabeça? Como que tá essa briga entre o bem e o mal, assim, essa mentalidade?
Acho que eu sou bem tranquila, na real. Eu geralmente fico bem tranquila, não tenho ansiedade, nada disso. Mas, assim, a preparação, a gente tá pensando, né, sim, em preparação. A gente foi meio atrapalhada por essa questão da pandemia, né? Mas, tipo, mesmo com a pandemia, eu tenho feito exercício em casa todo dia, tal, como que dá, né? E a gente já tá, algumas meninas, né, do meu time aqui do Bangu, a gente já tá fazendo uma preparação, né, física para melhorar mesmo força física, muscular. Eu acho que isso é a coisa que a gente vai mais sentir falta, né, em relação até ao que você falou, eu acho que sim, teve o lado de eles verem nossos highlights, fazerem entrevista, verem que nós somos boas, que nós temos potencial, a gente tem como jogar de igual para igual lá. Mas eu também, até por eu ter ido já até no Mundial de Flag, tipo, não é futebol americano, mas o Flag mesmo te mostra isso. Quando você chega no Mundial, você vê como algumas meninas são muito mais rápidas que brasileiras. Você pega a brasileira mais rápida, a mexicana é mais rápida. A americana, as americanas são muito rápidas. Então, a gente sente essa diferença. Então, acho que o que mais preocupa é essa questão física mesmo, de velocidade e força, que a gente aqui costuma ser mais franzina, vamos dizer, de modo geral, e menos rápida, né? Então, acho que isso é o que a gente tem que trabalhar mais, e a gente já está pensando nisso, já está se preparando para isso, para chegar lá e não desmontar com a primeira porrada, né?
Sim. Tá ótimo.
Aí, acho que a preparação tipo, é mais nesse sentido, em termos de, sabe, de psicológico, de ansiedade, assim, não tem muita coisa, não. É mais a questão do. Acho que o que mais preocupa a gente psicologicamente é essa questão física.
Mas eu acho que nessa questão, acho que você não precisa ficar tanto preocupada, porque até os jogadores profissionais estão tão paradas agora, né? Eles não estão tendo tanto tempo para elas se prepararem também. Eu te perguntei porque a primeira vez que eu tive essa oportunidade de treinar com um time profissional de arena, eu fiquei, até conversei com um coach de uns dias atrás, e eu me senti bem ansioso, e eu falei, parece que eu tô olhando, sabe? Eu não tava me dando conta que... E eu vi o coach falar, cara, agora... Isso, exatamente. Eu vi o coach falar, cara, agora vocês são profissionais, você tem que ter uma mentalidade profissional. E eu ficava assim, meu Deus do céu, o que eu tô fazendo aqui, sabe? E aí, depois, sei lá, de uns 20 minutos, o coach falou assim, relaxa, cara, faz o que você sabe fazer. Foi fazendo o que você sabe fazer que te colocou aqui, então coloque essa mentalidade de dar o teu melhor, mas foca no seu trabalho que você sabe fazer. E aí depois eu falei, verdade, o futebol americano não muda, né? Tipo, então, mas para algumas pessoas isso pode ficar, né? Por isso que eu falei, deixa eu saber como que é, porque talvez a tua resposta pode ser a resposta e a pergunta de outros jogadores que também estão indo para lá e ficam pensando, como será que vai ser? O que eu vou fazer? Mas legal que você tá com isso, eles me chamaram e eu vou lá fazer o que eu sei fazer. Legal.
E eu acho que, assim, uma coisa que também tem pra gente, né? A gente já foi selecionada agora, mas a gente só vai pra lá, teoricamente, em março, a princípio, né?
Sim.
Então, assim, tem ainda um período muito grande, né? Até pra gente se preparar, outras coisas. E algumas coisas que ainda estão muito indefinidas, entendeu? Então, talvez, assim, acho que se for bater uma ansiedade maior, vai ser lá pro final do ano, sabe? Porque, em outubro, que acho que algumas coisas vão começar a ser melhor definidas, até questão de casa e não sei o quê, e que a gente vai sentir mais mesmo como que vai, sabe, a movimentação da liga mesmo vai começar nessa fase depois de outubro, de gente começar a ir para lá, porque, por enquanto, a WFA tem gente de todos os lugares do mundo, né, na verdade. Tem as brasileiras, meu time tem brasileira, tem tcheca, tem alemã, tem francesa, tem a menina do Egito. Então, assim, na verdade, que antes até, que eu não sabia que tinha tanta gente, acho que até fiquei mais preocupada com isso, que eu falei, caraca, vai ter lá, sei lá, meia dúzia de brasileira perdida naquele monte de americano gigante. Aí, que joga futebol desde que nasceu. Aí depois a gente começou a ver que tinha gente do mundo inteiro, que todos os times eram bem misturados, sabe? Então você já fica, tem uma galera lá que tá do mesmo nível que a gente. Então, vai também acho que dando essa trégua.
Sim, ótimo.
Now, Fernanda, looking ahead a couple of years from now, so what do you see for yourself as a player and for the women's game here in Brazil? Now, before you answer that, obviously, you're having at least 15 to 20 players. There's probably a little bit more that are going to go over there from Brazil. And obviously, you guys are going to bring back with you a boatload of more knowledge of the game. I think some of you will come back and probably be coaches. They might even start up more teams. What do you think is going to happen over the next 24 months? Because in my opinion, I think the women's game is going to explode here because, you're going to have the WFLA, which is going to broadcast the games. Obviously, I'm sure ESPN and people here are going to pick those up. And it's just going to give people more knowledge of the game and understand that look here, man. I mean, in from all over. Talked to a girl in Portugal and Australia and all over the place. So these girls can play. There's not, not this drastic drop off like the game is slow. No, these girls can knock the shit out of each other. And, rugby. Okay, rugby doesn't mess around. You got to knock somebody on their ass. And they got no pads, and it's like, let's go.
And better technique, too.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So, anyway, sorry about that. But so I guess my question is, looking ahead a couple of years, what do you see for yourself as a player? And where do you see the women's game here in Brazil?
Yeah, well, first, I think the question that we are also making now is, are we going to come back?
That's a good point. That's so true.
So, yeah. So it's like, if the league really works out, and everything goes fine with us, if we manage to be in the main group and, play well, maybe we will not even come back. But that's something that's still like a question, because the season is from May to August, right?
Right.
And payments probably go from May to August.
Right.
Probably not. It is from May to August. But there are lots of things that can happen. Like, we might want to stay there, working there, and maybe we get another job, to stay until March next year.
And train with your team.
When I say we, it's like any of the girls, maybe half of them stay there, half of them come back. Sure. Maybe we go there, and then in August we come back here to play with our teams here. So I think right now we don't know exactly what are we going to do. It will depend on many facts, on many things, on contracts, on payments, on the visa we're gonna have. So there are lots of things still to manage, let's say, to find out what's going to happen,
Yeah, they're probably not going to let you play. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah,
they probably won't
we imagine that.
Yeah, if you sign a contract as a professional athlete, they're not going to let you play here in Brazil. I can tell you that right now from experience.
But at the same time, we know that, we imagine that, but at the same time, as the season is only from May to August.
Yeah.
Technically from August on, they can't. The contract will only be from May to August. From August on, we have no contract. So I don't know.
But usually in contracts like that, they're going to have a no injury clause, because especially for their star athletes, because it's almost like, for instance, Patrick Mahomes right now, right?
Yeah.
He's got stuff in there where he can't go skateboarding, he can't go surfing, he can't. Obviously he's making $500 million. That's a big difference.
The star athletes, they're all American. That's the point. The Americans, they get an annual salary,
Okay, so wait a minute.
I think no one from outside is going to be a star player.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. See, I didn't realize that. I thought they were gonna. Okay, so maybe then.
Yeah, even because I imagine no one from outside the U.S. is known there, so.
I got you. Makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But and then what do you think happens to the game here in Brazil? Because not just from players coming back, but just from them, girls watching it on TV. I think there's going to be more of an effort here to organize better, because let's face it, right now the women's game here in Brazil should be in a better position than it is. There's not really a lot of teams, as many as we have as men's. There's not really a big organization as far as a league and a schedule and
sponsors.
It's very discombobulated right now, and it could be much better. And I think now that they see what's going on with the WFLA and stuff, I think maybe finally Brazil is going to get their act together and say, okay, look, we need to invest in this just like we're doing with the men's game.
Yeah, what I think is going to happen here is actually it will depend on the people that are going to stay here. What I can say from what I've saw before, for example, what I mentioned flag football before.
Right.
2012, we went for the first World Championship.
Right.
Right. Representing Brazil. Before that, we had no flag at all in Brazil, no championships, no national championships. Then the first one was made like in the end of 2011, I think, or the beginning of 2012. And then it were only 6 teams. And from the 6 teams, we made the Brazil team. And then we went to the World Championships. And then we saw all that things, all that structure, and we learned a lot. We got so many information there, and we learned new ways to play, things that we didn't use here. For example, playing with 2 quarterbacks. So we learned lots of things watching the games. And then the 12 girls that were there and the coach, we brought it all to Brazil. And then from that, we made a bigger championship, a national championship. So the next year, the flag football championship was bigger, and then the next year it was bigger, and then it's just growing since then. And then now we have more than 100 flag football teams playing nationals, right?
Yeah.
But I think, yeah.
No, flag is actually doing fantastic, and obviously the World Championships are going to be in Birmingham, and the women's team is already qualified, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
In 2022, in fact, that's our home office. That's where our headquarters are. So we're going to have on possibly as soon as next week, the head of the flag football for the World Games is going to be on our show probably next Tuesday. So we're just waiting for final confirmation for that. But flag, you guys are doing amazing. But I'm talking about women's pad football, because that right now is what is kind of lacking as far as in comparison to, there's over 200 men's teams. And then they have the BFA titles, they have the state titles, what have you. But with the women's padded teams, there really isn't much going on. So now that you're going to be playing in the WFLA with the women's full pad teams, don't you think that'll help the women's pad team here as well?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I think it might, get things bigger, but it will depend on who is here to help this to grow. That's what I want to say. Like with flag football, it grew a lot, but because the people that were there, we came back with new ideas and we made it happen.
Sure.
We were like 5 persons that wanted to make things happen, and then we put it to happen. Mm-hmm. It was not the confederation or the federation. We got their help, but we had people that came from that championship that wanted things to go bigger. So it will depend. For example, WFLA, I think it's going to be a big show. We'll certainly have a lot of media, and maybe, like you said, ESPN wants to show this. I don't think TV is going to, but maybe watch ESPN. Here in Brazil, I mean, not in the US. But maybe girls watch it. But I think things here in Brazil are still a lot sexist. And the girls, at the same time, the teams, they still have a lot of problems with each other. So this also, doesn't help. When one team wants to break the other team just because the other team wins, it makes the thing not go further. So I think first, people need to change mentally, to make things get better. And it doesn't depend only getting media or, being seen for everybody in the world. We need to have people here working for that to happen.
Agreed.
So maybe, I don't know, if we there playing there, come back full of ideas and put this all, maybe it happens. But also, it can grow up with some people that are just watching and want things to happen,
Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of teams may surge.
Yeah.
I will say something. I don't know. I was thinking about, like, you say something. They don't have nobody here to help them. So I would say in Portuguese, because maybe it's more important for people here. So, Fernanda, eu estava pensando aqui. Eu acho também que como o coach falou, que o futebol americano feminino vai decolar. Tá decolando mais rápido que o masculino, porque olha só, a gente tem quanto tempo a gente tem um futebol masculino aqui, full pad, E esse ano, praticamente, que a gente conseguiu uma parceria com a CFL, mas ainda não teve nenhum jogador contratado, digamos assim, e nós já temos vários jogadores contratados. Eu acho realmente que o futebol americano feminino vai decolar primeiro. Eu acho que o formato que o futebol americano está hoje em dia aqui no Brasil, talvez não precise ser lapidado. Quantos times nós teremos na Liga Americana? 8 times, né?
32.
Na
WFL?
WFL. Isso.
32, são 32 times.
Fazendo um formato desse aqui no Brasil, acredito que talvez com menos times, e aí vai entrar aquele problema que eu te falei, talvez não fundando os times, mas, por exemplo, a própria liga vindo para o Brasil querendo fazer um formato parecido, talvez entrando até, como você falou, na Watch ESPN, e eu acho que o futebol feminino hoje talvez pode ter mais público que o masculino, por causa dessa questão de jogadoras serem contratadas diretamente do amadorismo. E no seu caso, como você falou, talvez precise de alguém para arrumar, para ajudar eles. É diferente você ter um atleta aqui do Brasil contratada, que foi atleta, que sempre foi atleta, e você ter uma atleta contratada que também já trabalhou na gestão e sabe como que é. E eles vão precisar, talvez, ter alguém para ser, cara, você vai ser o rosto do futebol feminino brasileiro aqui no Brasil. E talvez a gente está falando com essa pessoa no futuro, eu não sei, a pessoa que está aqui com a gente, chamada Fernanda, não é só uma ideia, mas...
faz uma WFA, you know, the Women's League. Seriously, we have
WFBR.
I mean, we already have the BFA, which that's already a clusterfuck anyway. I mean, let's be honest. That has its moments as well. So, I mean, how bad could it be? Because look, you know, and again, we're getting off the subject. I know we keep it a long time. We're going to get off here in just a second. But if you have a WFA, that's just WFA Brazil, whatever the case may be, then you got to get the men's side to help out as well. That people that know the game here, that have been involved with the men's game as well, to help the organizational structure, that want to build something. Because here's the thing, and here's the problem, and I could spend all day talking about this, but as a coach, I know how it is down here. The first thing people need to stop doing is worrying about the money. Forget about the money for now. Just forget about it. You're not going to make money on women's football. You're not going to make money on men's football. Let's put money to this side. Later, you can worry about the money. Let's build the organization first.
Yes.
We need teams everywhere. You should have teams at state time. I guarantee you, if when they start seeing Brazilian athletes playing in the WFLA in the United States and they see the kind of response, because I'm telling you right now, it's going to take off. I've been involved in professional franchises there with the Orlando Renegades, the Orlando Thunder, the Orlando Rage. And the reason why those didn't survive is because they didn't have a unique product. This is women. This is a unique product. These are women that can play, and it's gonna be awesome. So now you're gonna have star athletes from Brazil, and that's what you're gonna be. You're gonna be a star athlete. You're gonna be like, damn, she plays in the WFLA. It's gonna get to that point, okay? And you have to build on it. You have to seize that right now. And people should be thinking about, okay, what can we do in the Northeast? What can we do in the South? What we can do in the Central? And start building teams now. And stop fucking around with, sorry, excuse my French, and stop saying, oh, well, it's women's football, da-da-da. It's not going anywhere. And you can't wait 5-10 years down the road and, okay, maybe we'll do something. You need to do it now while the iron's hot when it takes off, because I'm telling you, it's going to explode. And women here are going to be like, damn, I want to play that, you know? And it's going to be – I know, because I hear it. I see on my Instagram all the time when I'm doing coffee with the coach or whatever. I get girls texting me all the time saying, hey, coach, can you explain this? Or, hey, how about this? Da, da, da. And I'm interested in playing this. And, you know, it needs that kind of organization. So, again, we're getting off on a tangent, but I think they should do their own thing and forget about waiting for everybody else, because they're going to – right now, let's face it, the women are doing better than the men. Okay, we got one athlete, Duzao, who's going to be – you know, okay, he's playing the scout team. God bless him. That's great. But is he going to see an NFL roster?
But he's at NFL. That's like the top league.
Yeah, but we know he's not going to play, but it's great that he's getting a chance to practice. But where's the other one? Where's the next one? You can't just be happy with one. There should be a pipeline. And it should be the same with the women, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the same.
Yeah. So
my opinion, it's like yours, but not necessarily what I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think still, if we have one player in the practice in the squad team, in the NFL, he's still going to have more attention than 30 girls going to the pro league to play and be, the starter team.
And that's ludicrous.
I still think
that's ludicrous.
Yeah, I still think here things are a little sexist, and they will always prefer to talk about men, even because if you look, there are lots of girls here that do things, that do manage things, that help things growing. I know there are a lot of girls here in Rio, São Paulo, and Pará, but also still the main people there are on the top of the things, like confederation, like the media, the Instagram websites, they're all men. So generally, some people don't even know these people that are involved with this. They don't even know about the existence of girls football. They just know, but they don't care. So I think we still have to fight against this, first thing. And then another thing is we need more media, of course, like TV and that stuff. For if football is not known for men, you imagine for girls. So, to have more teams, I think it has to grow more. Every time I do, I get something on the TV. For example, these days we had Bangu on TV. I don't know if you saw it on Globo, talking about the nurses of the team because of this pandemic. So after that, I had at least 2 girls on my Instagram asking, to play and saying, "Oh, I didn't know we had football here so close where I live," and that stuff. So generally, the normal people that, the ones that are not crazy like us, that started like, "Oh, I want to see something different." The normal people, they just know about it when they see it on TV or on the newspaper or any website, the news website. So we need to promote more for the people to know. It's still a lot unknown here in Brazil. In both cases, I mean, men and women. But men generally look more for it than girls.
I'm having Paulo Antunes from ESPN on here next week. I'm gonna ask him, because if ESPN doesn't cover this, it's a shame, because we don't know yet who's going to cover it yet in the United States, but it should be rebroadcast here. And if it's not ESPN, if it's Sport TV, somebody, because look, there's only so much soccer to go around, and then there's only so much volleyball, and then they're always covering all the other American sports between the NBA and so on and so forth. So for them not to cover sport where there's going to be over 20-something athletes from Brazil playing, I think is crazy. Yeah. So, and I agree with you 100%. The media's got to jump all over it. Maybe they will. It's still early. You guys don't.
Yeah, it's still. Maybe they don't even know yet.
Yeah, it's still early.
Probably doesn't know.
Once we get out of this COVID mess and we get closer to 2021, maybe they're going to jump on it. So who knows? But we're definitely going to do our part. We're going to keep bringing you guys on, and we wish you the best with this. I think it's going to be awesome. So listen, we got to let you go, but before we do, we got to get you in the rapid fire section real quick, and I'm going to let Mega do it.
Vamos lá então, Fernanda, rapidinho, ó. Copos de café por dia.
Café com leite, 1 de manhã, e cafezinho só 1 também à tarde.
A sua série favorita no Netflix?
Então, eu não sou muito Netflixeira, não. Eu não sou muito de assistir série, não. Não, é que pra mim é tipo... Eu sempre tenho um monte de coisa pra fazer, um monte de trabalho pra fazer, coisa do time, coisa da FEFAS, coisa do CBFA, coisa de não sei o quê. Então, a série eu assisto o que tá passando na TV, entendeu? Pra mim, ver série é perder tempo.
Dá certo. Sua comida favorita depois das 2 horas da manhã? Você saiu, tá na rua, 2 horas da manhã.
Boate.
Ou batata Lay's.
Como?
Batata frita que eu gosto. Lay's, Ruffles.
Legal.
Vamos
Nada,
lá. Flamengo.
nada exótico.
Flamengo, Fluminense ou Botafogo?
Flamengo ou Bangu.
Seu time favorito na NFL?
Giants.
Giants,
Giants.
Really? Wow.
O jogador que você comentou, o Rickson, ele foi do Giants, né?
Dominic. Yeah, he was a wide receiver.
Ele era o wide receiver do Giants.
Yeah. Also, hey, listen, Fernanda, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, you're real excited for you. I'm very happy and happy not only for the WFLA part, but your.
You're freezing for me now. I'm not listening. I didn't listen anything. Yeah. It's raining too? It's a bad thing. It's raining there. It's going to come here. Today was a little sunny. Obrigada e obrigada pelo convite também. Espero que a gente chegue lá também e consiga destruir e ganhar mais um troféuzinho. Ah, tá. Vou trazer uma mala de camiseta. Obrigada. Tchau, valeu.
All right. So, man, that was incredible. It's another example of, the growth of women's football here in Brazil. We've talked to several women now down here that are going to play in the WFLA and also that are just, building the sport.
Yes.
Tatiana, a couple days ago, what she's done with her squad as a freaking president, coach, and a player, I don't think these women realize, and I think it's kind of funny, Fernanda didn't even realize the impact of what she's doing right now. I mean, they are literally pioneers for the sport.
Exactly.
That in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, people are going to look back and say, you know what? She was one of the originals that got it started.
And like she said, right now, maybe they don't have some help here, but right now we have like 7, 8 women play there.
Yeah.
And when they come back here in Brazil, they need some face for sport here. And so I think it's gonna be like really, really important for our sport here, and to help them, to help our sport here. I think is really important.
Yeah, I really don't think it's, I think it's a situation to where, these other teams and these other organizations need to get behind it, because it's not going to go anywhere, and I think people, I think she's right. Obviously, this is Brazil. It's sexist to begin with, but the days of that are over. This is 2020. Things are different now, and this is the time for the women to step up and say, "Hey, we're here." I bring up this point all the time. Brazil is the 3rd largest TV market, in the world, behind the United States and Mexico, and then a greater percentage of that are women that are watching the NFL game. Yeah. So that tells you something right there. It's not like they're just sitting home, skipping novellas, and they're not. And in a lot of cases that I've seen, I get a lot of questions all the time about, in my opinion, it's a hell of a time for me getting kids here that are men to train, to study, to look at the game, to watch film or whatever. Women, they're like, where do I go? What do I pick up? And again, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just saying, in my experience, they're all over it, and they seem to be hungrier in some ways than the men. Right now, I think that they have a leg up. They have a professional league of their own, and I think the women's game is just going to go like this. And people really need to get involved and pay attention to that, and it's going to be a big deal. So, moving forward, as I mentioned, Digital Motion AV is our producing company that's based in Birmingham, Alabama. Matt Schultz is one of the partners, or I don't know what your official title is, man, but I know we just call him Gandalf. So, but he works with his partner or owner, Ed, who's not going to be on with us today, but Matt is. Matt, you on? Hey, man, how's it going up there? Hey, we're good. It's a little bit cold. It's rainy. It's probably like 90 degrees and humid as hell up there in Birmingham, though. Hey, listen, before we kind of get into the interview portion, why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of your company?
Fix that real quick. Okay, I'm here. I'm back.
Yeah.
All right. So the background of the company started when Ed's parents actually asked him to come and help with the AV side of their educational business. And they have 2 of the largest rheumatology conferences in the United States. And they were looking to save some money because of the high end on the hotel AV costs and things of that nature. So as he progressed into this, he has a huge background in technology. And so from there, we've been able to develop different software. We're able to produce this show now, and just different things that we're able to do because of his technology background, things that we've learned from that. And one of our things we're trying to push right now is an actual app. It's called The Presenter. And the way that works is, let's say you have multiple presenters that need to present on, let's say, a Zoom call. And instead of having that awkward moment where somebody has to share out their screen, hang on just a second, and having those technical difficulties, we're able to bring in our software, load their PowerPoint presentation from our screen, just share the one screen out, and then we can pass out multiple remote controls to multiple presenters to either control one PowerPoint, or if it's multiple presenters and let's say we call it a track or a timeline or one conference or a meeting in Zoom, we can have multiple presenters in that track and they're able to have their own remote to their own presentation. So that's how far the technology has come and what we're able to do and how we're helping in this pandemic situation to where the meetings are all virtual. And so that's what we're trying to show is the technology side. And I think we're one of the only AV companies that actually have software engineers on staff.
Yeah, that was, the next question I was going to mention is, your ability to fashion materials and tech for companies is unmatched. And, so how could this system work down here in Brazil and for that nature, the rest of Latin America?
So everything that we do, we can push out worldwide, no matter where you are, whether you be in Brazil, whether you be Latin America, whether it's Europe, Asia, because it's all remote. And we build our servers on data centers to where we can push this information out and we just connect to those data servers. And that's how we're able to keep our bandwidth so high and try and keep the show running, even when things may happen locally. As my video keeps cutting in and out, I can see that. So all these local machines come together and I bring them all into the server space and we're able to push them out that way. So even if something does go wrong on my end, I'm not hosting it off my internet. I'm hosting it off of a data center internet. So that doesn't go down. And a lot of those questions will be answered. We did a short podcast a little bit ago, and a lot of those will be answered in the video that we're going to show.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's fire it up.
All right, and here we go.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
What's going on, Ed? How you doing today, man?
Doing well.
I appreciate you joining the show. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you cutting out some time for us, and we're just thankful to have you on. Because nobody's gonna be able to run through all the tech stuff and the details and like you are. So we're just thankful that we have someone on that can deliver that in a clear way to the masses. So I appreciate it.
I'll try.
That's right, man. So I'll just jump right into it, man. There's always a story about why an entrepreneur started a company. There's always something there. What made you want to start Digital Motion? How did that start? Just kind of tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I'll try to do my best there. It can be a long story sometimes. So
and you don't have to be too humble. Don't be too yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so my parents started a conference I don't know, 35 or so years ago at this point. My dad started one in the basement of Brookwood Hospital for rheumatologists, and it was just a bunch of rheumatologists locally in Birmingham. And they grew it from that into a larger conference, ended up moving it to Destin, Florida. And it's now been at the same location there for 30 plus years. And they came to me, and I think it was like 2005 or so. And they were like, hey, we really want, we're taking it private. At that time, I think Brookwood was helping with it. And I think Tenet Healthcare was taking over Brookwood, and they didn't want to have to deal with it anymore. So they were like, hey, we're taking this thing private. Do you want to come in and do the audio visual? Because the hotel has been doing it. But we'd much rather, we want something better than what they're giving us. Right. And we're paying them a lot to do it. And I was like, sure, why not? I get bored pretty easily, and love challenges.
Like
you guys
most
know.
entrepreneurs. Yeah, most entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I started, going down, and my dad and I. Well, I guess my dad and I went really and bought screens, and I guess at that time actually it was one screen, and it was a little audio set, and some microphones, and went down that year and did it ourselves, and that kind of kicked it off.
What year was that?
I think that was like in 2004, 2005.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So from then, we just, I saw it as an opportunity at that point of like, hey, we could actually do something. We were able to make it happen. So year after year, we put more money, or I guess really it was, I took what I was making off of it and put it back in and bought more equipment, made it better.
Right.
We had lots of the physicians that were there, started coming to us and saying, hey, can we get a recording of this? Because this is great content. And, so I started recording it. At first, it was horrible. Like most people, I started off.
Curve. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Huge learning curve. But I started off with, like a camcorder in the corner, and went from there to using my IT background to, screen capture things and being able to produce recordings. And I think the first year I actually did digital recordings, it took me 6 months to get through all the editing.
Wow.
And from there,
have you come?
Oh yeah, we can do it now in less than a week.
That's so cool, man.
But yeah, it was crazy, and went from cutting DVDs. But I mean, really, that was kind of the foundation. And then I was talking to, I mean, part of what held me back at that point from moving forward is the company I was working with. We had a really strong, I think moonlighting contract or moonlighting clause in our contracts where, if you're working after hours on something else, this is for friends and family, that's,
sure,
you could basically be fired. And so, in fact, my boss caught me on a plane one time working on the logo for the invoicing system I was using to do my invoices. And they were like, he was like, better not be doing this for everybody else here. You better have a job when we get back. Like, no, it's just for parents.
Smart answer.
But, yeah, exactly. But it really wasn't until one of our other customers, I would say one of our closest customers, it's another rheumatology group, but it was the wife of the guy that runs it. She came to me one day and she's like, look, you do such great recordings and do such a great job at your parents' conference. Can you come do ours? Can you come work for us and do this? And I started putting numbers together. And I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be worth it, because for me to go to New York to where you guys are and to do all this, it's going to be expensive. And so she tried a couple of the things and came back. So she goes, I don't care. Whatever it is, fly up, come do one. Let's see how it goes. So she really pushed me to kind of take it to the next level. So we did. And they still use us for every one of their events today. And that really kicked it off. So, I mean,
that's exciting, man.
Yeah.
I love to hear that, you find something, there's a need, and you took care of that need, and you weren't afraid to, continue that venture. And look where it is today. I mean, I'm here because you continue to make, to press on and create this business. So, as a fellow employee, I'm thankful for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, speaking along those lines, and you working and making logos and things while you're on a plane, your technology background. So where did that come from? What made you get into technology, and kind of explain where and how it started?
Oh boy. I have no idea how I got into it, outside of the fact that my parents just let me run crazy, I think, when I was a kid. So our first computer was, this is going to date me a little bit, but it was a Mac 512KE.
Wow.
And we had a 10 megabyte hard drive
back in the day. So basically, lack of parenting is due to your success today. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, it was lack of parenting necessarily. My dad used to get mad at me because like I would take everything apart. And he came home one day and he had a power drill, and I had completely disassembled the power drill. I think I was like 5.
Wow.
Completely taken it apart. But then he said it was a little crazy because I was able to put it all back together again with some pieces left over, but it still worked. So he was kind of shocked. But I don't know. I've just always liked to tinker with things. Computers have been the one thing that I've always stuck with. I mean, when I don't know. I've just always loved computers and started writing programs early on with some of my best friends. We would just, go to literally carry our computers that weighed probably 50 pounds at the time, because I had like a 17-inch CRT, and those things were like 20 pounds plus the box. And we would we started writing Pascal and then moved to C, and I don't know, just it got crazy. And then my first real job was in IT here in Birmingham, and it was my friend got a job there, and I just had him take me every day after school. I think I was 15 at the time, and he would go work. I'd say, hey, just take me with you. And I just started working it for free. Like I would just show up and start taking computers apart and fixing them, putting them back together. And eventually the guy hired me. And then we were, my buddy and I ended up becoming like co-managers of the place. And then we both went off to college. So it just, then from there it just went crazy. So
we all know how co-managers work. If we're familiar with the Office episodes, when they made them co-manager, I always liked those episodes, co-manager thing.
We were a little more civil, but most of the time it was which one of us is gonna get the Quake system set up, or Doom, whatever. So
yeah,
cool, man.
A lot of the old school gaming.
Yeah.
So to tie this all together, to kind of bring this all in, what is your envision? So speaking from where you started and the technology aspect, to kind of tie it together with what you envision of how digital motion can help clients and, with budget aspects, because I know the company started, to kind of help save money on the hotel end of AV, plus your technology background, you've been able to develop things to help you along the way because you've been by yourself, and it makes your life easier. So having all those aspects tie in, now we're able to help other people with this same issue. And, just what do you envision digital motion doing in the future?
Yeah, that's one of the guys I used to work for always said I try to look out no more than 2 years. Anything more than that's a little crazy. But I'm fairly good at being able to see where things are going. I try to help guide things there, I guess. But I guess my vision for digital motion is really there's a couple different sides to it. And you guys know I'm horrible at explaining things sometimes. So.
All right.
But one of the things that I always kind of latched onto, I love learning, and that's one of the core aspects of my personality. I've been going through in the past, I've been through a lot of like business development and training and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But the things that never changed about my core personality are like I am always wanting to learn, and I am always looking to get the best value.
Yeah.
And it's year after year after year of taking kind of like aptitude tests and things like that, or core, I think they call them core motivator tests, right? Like what motivates you to go up and go to work in the morning or to do something. Those two for me are like 97 and 98, and they flip flop back and forth, like a score of 100, right? When it comes to something like doing the same thing over and over again, I have like a 20 as far as, I forget what they call that, but it's, but what it really nails down into, and kind of the past from like both a business and a tech sense, is I always want to do the best I can to learn something, to provide something new, but I always am looking for the best value on that. And having the side that like we still work with my parents' conference. I help run it, help develop it, help put it on, but also work with our crew to help on the AV side and trying to run that company and make sure that we're able to stay afloat and keep moving and keep bringing more people like Emery and other people on board. And it's being able to see both sides of like putting on the event and running it, and then mixing that with a with a background of writing applications and building products that have generated tens of hundreds of millions of dollars to data centers, to kind of combining all that with like what we used to target in the tech space of going into like not going crazy and like trying to be everything to everybody, but really target to how we can take, this is gonna be a weird transition, but like one of the core things I used to do in the product development sector, right, was going in and saying, how can I take an enterprise product that a company is going to use? So, taking like a really expensive product from a really large corporation like EMC in the storage space, and bring that to the commercial space. The space where you don't have, $200,000 to go deploy the solution, but maybe you've got $200 a month, right? So can we take something that's really expensive, something that is really great, and bring it down to where we can make it workable on a lower budget and provide customers that may not be able to afford the bigger thing, right, or the more expensive side of that, with the same level of reliability and performance? And that's really what we've been targeting in Digital Motion. That's kind of my vision, right? Being able to take these really high-end solutions, things that, if you're say 1,000 or less person conference, right? The conferences are expensive enough to run when you start throwing like F&B and other, hotel expenses in there. But, when you want to get your exhibitors and sponsors to get their money's worth, because God knows they're gonna chew after you for it, to figure out whether it was valuable to them to put in all that money. Your attendees have to be happy. You have to keep them well fed, or they get bored and don't come into sessions. And without the attendees, you don't get the sponsors. So, right. Those things alone are really expensive. So if we can help from the AV side to make that experience better for a lower cost, while we're still, and Matt loves to use this term a lot too, but we want to provide a great value. We're not going to be the cheapest, but we want to do a great job, more than you would expect, for a very fair price, because we have a business to run too. We have things we have to do, but sure, that's the vision of where we're going and what we're trying to do. So if we can take things in the technology space, and it actually flows in great with the whole talk you guys were talking about on SpaceX, right? SpaceX was founded on taking consumer electronics, things that are repeatable, cheap, not doing one-off custom engineering to make a rocket ship, but being able to take off-the-shelf components and make them work in a really highly reliable way. And that's really what we're doing. We're taking technology that people use every day and trying to bring that into a space that's been very much set in their own formats, their own, protocols, and how lighting works and things of that nature, and trying to mix those two where we can bring high-end lighting and high-end recording into that space in a way that, we're not having to spend as much money to produce it. And so we can take those savings and bring it back to the customer.
Yeah. So the way I kind of look at it, from the way you explained it, is we're giving access to people to things that they normally wouldn't have access to due to their budgets.
Sure. Right.
Providing that great valued service that, some of the bigger companies can afford to do. We're just bringing that to a lower level and, helping everyone, whether it be from the high end to the low end. It doesn't matter. We're going to have a fair price no matter who you are and what your budget is. We're still going to continue to provide a fair price.
Yep.
On point. Well said, man. Well said. To continue in that spirit, Ed, Digital Motion is a bit of a smaller company, if you will. How does that benefit our clients?
We are very dedicated. I mean, I'll be honest. My viewpoint on this is I don't care how big we get. I am not looking for this to be the largest company in the world.
Sure.
But my view is, and kind of where it helps us today, and I think if we keep the same mindset and the same culture, we're very client focused, right? We want to get on the phone with our customers, and I would even say our partners, right? Because we love our goal is to partner with our customers and really become one with their team. Where they look at us and they're like, hey, can you do this? And we don't care how crazy it is. We have heard some really crazy things and we've been able to make them work. And which I think that's kind of what you're getting at, Emory, right? We have the ability to sit down and say, what is it you want to do? What is the outcome you're looking for? And then figure out a way of making that work. And I think that ties back in with, we have software. I think we're like one of the only AV companies that actually has software developers working with us on staff, where, if we needed to write software to do something, we'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's not, we've developed custom hardware, we've developed custom software. We do whatever we need to solve a customer's problem. And we're very nimble. I would say in the software development terms, they call it agile, but we tend to work more on what is the problem that the customer is trying to solve, and how can we solve that without blowing out their budget.
Right. Cool. Very, very, very well said, man. Yeah.
Basically from here, I mean, we're going over about what I said before about coming into this company and how I've always had a passion for people and keeping clients in the first focus. And so that's where I came in and pretty much added to the Digital Motion values. And, Emory, you asked me earlier about what's the best thing working at Digital Motion, is the people. And as you can see, we're very people focused, whether it comes to people who work with us or our clients. We take those needs. And so how we would go about getting those needs is, Emory, we would start with you. You'd make the phone call, reach out for your initial. You may have heard Emory on the phone before. So he reaches out. He'll set up a, kind of a consultation time for me to be able to talk to the client. This isn't necessarily a sales call. It's gathering information of, what are your needs? What do you need us to do for you? What are you looking for?
To help you better.
Yes.
Sure.
So, and then we take that and design a solution around it. And if you like it, you love it. And, if not, we've given you some ideas, especially in this climate. It's all about helping right now in this climate, where we're at, and transitioning from a lot of live events to the digital ones. And having said that about, the technology end of it and creating those needs, we've noticed a lot of, even sometimes awkward webinars to where someone has to share their screen out, and so some of the things that we're developing are we have this presenter app that we've developed, the Presenter by Digital Motion. And what we're able to do is kind of give a presenter a remote control to control a presentation that's out there in an instance that we already have in a secure location, and we share the screen out and it stays shared out. We just pass along controls. So speaking on that kind of a software, Ed, do you have anything that you can add to that as far as from the technical standpoint of, developing that and, pushing it out for clients and making it user friendly to where just any average person is able to use it?
I mean, there's obviously more to come on that, because it's, we're probably talking about it before it gets released, but I think that's a great example of what we can do. Again, we as a company, and me as it's like I guess the lead geek is my title. I see myself as more of a geek on that side, but we see these problems because we tackle them firsthand, or we we are presented with them firsthand, and we have to find ways of solving them. I mean, even our own conference, we do 2 of these a year, one East Coast, one West Coast, and we're running through the same problems with COVID that everybody else is. We're tackling that by looking at moving it to a hybrid conference or all virtual, whatever we have to do. And you start walking through that, you start looking at all the different issues of how do you do that? How do you manage the presentations, the presenters? How do you manage keeping people's attention? Giving them proper breaks, but yet knowing that they can leave at any time to go take a break. And as a planner, when you're walking through that, you kind of start to see where there's opportunity for the need for additional pieces of technology, and then you start looking for those, and when you don't find them, it's frustrating. I think the great thing about us, like I mentioned before, with having developers that work directly with us, and having a development background myself, like we took that and said, hey, let's just write our own software to do it. And we're solving not just our problem, but we've been talking to other customers and saying, hey, does this solve a problem for you? And a lot of them it does. So we're trying to bring that back out and trying to figure out how to get it to people's hands where it can help make a difference and help make their online webinars, and not just even webinars, but anything really where you're giving a presentation and you need it to flow cleanly and not have breaks and not have artifacts in your video, or maybe you want to play full screen video with audio and have it work. And that's what we're shooting for, is a really easy to use system that anybody can. So our goal is really anybody can afford it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and from there, I mean, it's like the same thing we're using now. I mean, we have an app that we've put out or that we're going to be putting out to design the backgrounds for what you're seeing now. And you're able to control that, design it, send it back to us for each one of your scene layouts. We can build it out for you. And then at the touch of a button, I can go to each one of your scenes that you've created, just like you envisioned. And so we're trying to make that easier for everyone and trying to translate, the technology side. Not everybody understands it. I don't understand it, but Ed does. And I'm kind of like the translator in between Ed and a client, to where I can translate that and handhold that and talk to you about how this is going to transition from your live event, from what you envision. Tell me what your live event wants to look like, and I can help you translate that into a virtual event. Because I can talk to Ed about your needs. He can say, we can do this, and I can turn around and translate that right back to you so that everybody can understand. And that's what we're after. And, that's where we've come in this time. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been great. In times, we're, like Ed said, we're just like everybody else. It's affected us.
Yeah, we're going through it too.
Everybody else. But, we're going to push through it, and we're going to help other people push through it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining the show, Ed. I think you give us as an employee a better understanding, how this thing started, and hopefully it'll give our listeners and future clients and current clients a better understanding of where this company came from and where it's at and where it's heading. And that can only be a good thing for everyone involved. So we are a company that we care. We'll walk you through that process. And if you're looking, or if you think that a very quality event is sort of out of reach from a budget standpoint, it's not. And we will definitely help you or achieve the goals that you're looking for. Matt, do you have anything to add, or?
No, I am good. Do you have anything to add it?
I think the only thing I would add there is, because I talk to a lot of other planners and people, and whatnot through the different working on the different conferences. And I think one of the things I run into the most that people fall into the trap of is, they go to a hotel, go to an event center, and they get a contract, and they feel like they're tied to that contract, or what's in the contract. And it's not the case. You as the event, the venue wants you, right? They need you to come in, and they're targeting really the F&B or food and beverage side of that is where they make most of their money. But they get a lot of planners get so tied into, like, they'll put in wording in there because they do usually have an in-house AV company. And they'll usually word it like, you have to use them, or usually it's that you have to get a quote from them.
Right.
Those lines can all be struck out. And most of the time you can even strike them out later. But I would just say, if we're always open to talking to people, we have event planners that we work directly with as well, that, use us for some events and don't, but we always can refer people over to them, or we bring them in to even consult with some clients. We're not out to make every dollar. What we're out is to help people. And so what we're out to do is to help people. So, if you're in that situation where you're tied into something and you're looking at it going, well, we can't do this. I would always say, don't ever use the word can't. Just, let us try. If maybe it's not this year, maybe it's next year. Sometimes, sometimes when you get into there, you're too far in, but we'll help you no matter what. And at least give you some guidance and some help. So,
absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for tuning in to the Digital Motion podcast. You can visit us on our website, digitalmotionav.com. We will link our social media in the show notes, and you can visit us on social media. Please drop us a line if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever. We're approachable. It's not like you're not going to get an answer. So please ask us anything you want. We're human just like you, so we're ready to help you and make your event a reality. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you for tuning in to our Digital Motion podcast. Please subscribe.
All right, so that's amazing stuff. You see right there that Digital Motion can really do some amazing things. We're blessed to have them. For sure. This is the only show in Brazil that does the kind of things we do, Matt. And it's really an exciting time. And you guys seem to be at the forefront of all that's going on at the perfect time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just here to try and help as many people as we can. And in that sense, it's we're here for people, and this time it's here to help as many people as we can, not necessarily price gouge or anything like that.
Yeah, one of the things down here in Brazil, and this is technology, believe it or not, especially here in Sao Paulo, there's over 25 million, 30 million people in here. This is one of the largest cities in the world. So there's a lot of companies that are from the United States and from different areas of the world that set up home offices here because this is the major hub for Latin America. So even if you're in Colombia, you're in Chile, you're in Paraguay, Uruguay, so on and so forth, not just Brazil, Sao Paulo, for example, is like the hub to be. I know that, from being I work for a translation company as well, and we work with dozens and dozens of companies like an Embraer that's partnered now with Boeing, and then you got Microsoft, you've got, all these technological type companies that need this kind of stuff, because they like to stay, Sao Paulo would be considered at the cutting edge of Latin America, I think. So the marriage there, should be perfect, for something that you're doing. So, we're definitely, in the future, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people asking about, things that you guys do. Now, I know you talked a little bit about it on the video, but how else can they learn more about where you guys are at, how they can get in touch with you and things like that.
As they'll see on the video, I had our website and also an email address scrolling. It's www.digitalmotionav.com, or they can email us at info@digitalmotionav.com.
Awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, for me and Victor, I know we appreciate what you do. I know Emma does with it. He does a lot with us as well with his show too, and we just look forward to continue to do so. And as we can, if you guys need help, vocês precisam ajuda em português, você pode falar comigo, contato o Victor, e também ele explicar melhor para você. E também falar com uma Zoom call com Match e explicar tudo. Né?
Exatamente.
Eles podem contatar nós, pode falar espanhol também, você precisa isso, e explicar tudo coisas eles querem. Porque realmente vocês querem estas coisas para sua empresa, sua apresentação e outras coisas. Nossa, não comparar.
Sim,
não comparar.
Exatamente. A gente está falando de uma empresa que hoje em dia o mundo mudou, né? Com o coronavírus aí no mundo, hoje está tudo virtualmente, as reuniões de empresas. A gente está falando de uma empresa que pode melhorar muito a qualidade da sua empresa, de reuniões, tudo remotamente. Então, qualquer dúvida, pode mandar as perguntas aqui para o Pessanha, para mim, e a gente encaminha diretamente para a empresa do Matt the Emory, que está mudando o cenário aí das ligações, das reuniões virtuais no mundo inteiro.
Exatamente. Yeah, Matt. So, I mean, again, we really appreciate you jumping on tonight. I'm glad we were able to do this, and we'll catch up more because, like I said, I'm sure people are going to contact us. What I was telling them was, look, we can explain it to you in Portuguese and Spanish if need be, so they're not going to have any issues there as far as understanding how to get in touch and how to have the content and how to understand exactly what you do. We could jump on a Zoom call together and figure things out. We can help translate and all that. So I think it'll be a perfect marriage in the future, and we can do a lot of good things. That'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, it's been good having you on, and I know we'll touch base in a little while behind the scenes, but we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sean, and see you in just a second.
Okay, man. Yeah, it's amazing, that kind of service down here in Brazil. People don't realize the value, especially with technology today and what the hell's going on with the COVID. Everybody's staying at home, like you said.
Yes. But everyone like quality, right?
Yeah.
They need that. So these guys, they have what they need.
Well, you can just look at our show.
Yes.
I mean, if you compare our show right now to everybody else, there's not even a comparison, because no offense to anybody else, Instagram's cool and what other people are doing is cool, but then there's a step above.
Yes.
That we're adding videos, we're adding the pictures, we're adding the backdrops and things like that. So people, like you said, want to pay for quality, especially when it comes to your business, when it comes to your livelihood, when it comes to impressing clients and things like that. You need somebody to carry that message for you and demonstrate that. And Digital Motion AV does that, man. So, there's not a whole lot of things I could say that are not amazing that come out of Birmingham, and they're really good friends up there, and we really appreciate what they do for us. So again, if you guys want to contact us, feel free to do so in Portuguese or English, and we'll get you going. It'll be awesome. So listen, next week we got a hell of a week coming up. Tuesday night, we're still finalizing our guests for Tuesday night. I know next Friday night we have Paulo Antunes coming on from ESPN Brazil. He's like the Joe Buck, if you will, for American football down here. So real excited to have him coming on. Definitely going to talk to him about the women's American football and a lot of different other subjects as the season's around the corner. But stay tuned. Check out our Instagram page, Twitter, Facebook. We're going to have all the information coming on for our next few guests, and you're going to be regular time. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Brazil time, 7 o'clock Eastern. And for Victor Mega, Sean Slack, we'll see you next week. Take care.